Hello, I'm Ginger Conlon, Editor-in-Chief of One-to-One Media. Welcome to Challenge Busters, One-to-One's ongoing series where we tackle today's top business challenges. Join us and get into the minds of key industry experts. I'm here today with Luke Bondar, Global Vice President of Loyalty for Carlson Marketing Worldwide, as part of a series on how organizations can address some of the key challenges they're facing today. In this installment, Luke and I will discuss customer loyalty. Specifically, Luke, what is the biggest challenge customers are facing today with building brand loyalty?
Well, when we talk about customers, we're talking about the organizations that we work with. So the challenge that those organizations face every day in building stronger relationships with their customers is that their customers face a communication overload. So they're more inclined to shut out any messages, any offers, any promotions that those organizations are putting out there. They're more likely to then filter only those messages that have relevance and have meaning to them. And as a result, it's a lot harder for marketers, for businesses today, to effectively communicate and connect with those customers. That's one of the first challenges. The second aspect of that is that because customers have so much choice today, they're far less likely to remain loyal to any one brand, product or service, and they're more likely to be promiscuous and jump around and try new products and services, new brands. So as the provider of that, as a marketer or as an organization, it's a lot harder to maintain that customer's loyalty in the first place. And then finally, the competitive challenge is really tough. You know, with all of that choice comes a lot of competition. And today, the speed at which competition can replicate product or price or service is much shorter than it's ever been before. So to maintain a strong long-term relationship with customers and build that and grow it and extract more value from it is really difficult because of that very competitive landscape in which customers are playing and they're out there shopping and buying. So that's some of the, I guess, the overview of the challenge, the customer challenge, the competitive challenge. So as marketers today, I think we need to think about how can we more effectively connect with customers, understand what's relevant to them, what do they want, what do they need. And if we can get that understanding, we're going to have a much better chance of then being able to build a relationship which in turn will encourage that customer to stay longer, spend more, and tell more people about the brand.
So along with that level of understanding, is there anything else that companies can do to help overcome those challenges?
Absolutely. I think, really going back to that notion of building a stronger customer relationship, it's important for an organization to really understand what are the wants, what are the needs of the customers that they deal with every day. You know, I mentioned that there's this competitive challenge where product, price and service are replicated. Because an organization has this unique set of customers, if they can understand what makes them tick, then they can understand then how to market more effectively with them or to them, build a dialogue with them, and then over time build this relationship, keep them longer. How you do that is obviously the big challenge, and that's where loyalty programs come into play and where they're incredibly powerful, because they create a mechanism or provide a forum for customers to talk with an organisation regularly and for that organisation to listen and in turn talk back to that customer. And so through that dialogue over time, an organisation can take all of the data that they gather and use that to understand what the customer needs, what the customer wants, and really also what the customer's worth. And they can use that insight to then feed back into the dialogue the right sort of value back to the customer with the right messaging, the right information, which really helps over time to build that stronger relationship. And all of that's really important because if we can do that, we've over time seen the very strong impact of growing the strength of a customer's relationship on their likelihood to stay a customer, their likelihood to tell more people about that brand, that product, that service, and also to buy more of the product and service itself, all of which create value for the organisation. So to come back to your question, you know, how can companies overcome the challenge? Loyalty programs are a great way to do it because it really helps to facilitate that conversation with a customer, helps to learn what's going to drive a stronger relationship, and it creates a framework to engage in a dialogue whereby that customer's value can be built over time.
So do you have any examples of either an industry or specific companies that are doing this well?
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot. And from an industry perspective, those industries with heavy competition, with a lot of parity across their products, have been forced to ask themselves the question, how can we really differentiate the way we treat our customers? So if you look at the financial services industry, if you look at the travel and transport industry, airlines and the hotel industry, great examples where organisations have set out to create a mechanism for this ongoing dialogue through loyalty programs to understand what customers need, what they want, what they're worth. But I think looking at some specific examples, I think there's a range that are out there across those industries, but we're starting to see some new programs pop up as well in perhaps more non-traditional loyalty spaces, and one of my favourites is in the CPG space, and it's a program which is a collaboration between Nike and Apple, where those two brands have come together to create an offering that encourages customers to share a lot of information that neither of those two brands necessarily knew before, and they can then use that information to build a stronger relationship with the customer over time. It's called the Nike Plus product offering. I encourage anyone to go and have a look at it. I think it's great.
So if you were to leave our viewers with one key takeaway, what's that one key takeaway about loyalty?
I think it's that you must think of the dialogue, of the exchange with your customers as a relationship, and as such you need to think about the inputs to that relationship, what influences it, what can change it, and understand what those levers are, because if you know what they are, it's a lot easier to then manage the various parts that will influence how a customer thinks and feels and acts relative to your brand, and you can have a greater chance of creating those positive outcomes that you're seeking.
Well, Luke, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you.